your own overview of the just concluded Edo election? Okay, all right, since
Thank you very much. So, to be, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying, initially that for us overall, the process, because we're looking at both the results that was announced in the end and the entire process, and as an organization, our stand is that this Edo election fell below the standard required for a credible and successful elections. And in the our reports that we had issued prior to the election, we were going to judge the entire process by three standards: the impartiality, the integrity, and the resilience test. And on all three counts, we see that, the the process itself failed. In terms of resilience, like the previous speaker already mentioned, we had low voter turnout, and our estimate, which also coincides with INEC's estimate, that is correct, shows that we had about 22.5 percent of voters, which is, plus or minus a 1.6% error of margin. And out of 2.6 voters, 2.6 million, that's very low, you know. And when we're also looking at the final results, again, who was announced winner, we're also looking at the inconsistencies in the numbers, from our methodology, which is the process result verification for transparency methodology, PRVT. We're able to take samples from polling units across the 18 local governments of Edo State, and what our estimates and our numbers shows us are inconsistencies with what INEC has. So if you look at certain local governments like Oredo, forgive my pronunciation. But if you look at some of the results from there, our estimates, honestly, for us as an organization, the process falls below expectation.
Okay, all right. So during the collision of the results yesterday, we are at the PDP party agent saying that it is marked with lots of irregularities, like what their party agents are polling units. The results they had was different from the one on RF portal, and also some different from what they finally announced. They also mentioned issues of BVAS not working, and we also had some local government areas, some polling units in some local government areas where election did not take place. So we know that these are some of the characteristics that always accompany our election in Nigeria. So what advice would you give that you feel that if INEC does this, then all these irregularities will be a thing of the past?
Yeah, so what some of our recommendations as an organization is that INEC should be able to exercise its powers. There are certain powers that the law confers on INEC, and such things, INEC has the ability to reject or recount, or look at the votes that, or the numbers, that the results that came in from those polling units and local government that had such irregularities. So INEC has the power of recall, the power for recount. But what we're seeing in this election is that INEC is not exercising that power, is not exercising, that ability. And that, when we're able to begin to see that, see INEC take charge of in those kind of situations, then we can now start hoping for different outcomes. Something else that we are recommending is that the IREV, which is currently by law, the results on the IREV is not backed, by law as a final stop. But if the Electoral Act is going to be, needs to be amended to allow the results on the IREV, because some of the estimates we were looking at were from the polling unit. And so if polling unit results can be accepted as final results as uploaded on the IREV, then it also minimizes the room for irregularities.
So much for joining us on our news today.
It's my pleasure.
All right, and that's Jennifer Dafwat, Yaga Communication Officer. And earlier we were joined by Bartholomew Okodo, the Edo State Coordinator Transition Monitoring Group. Many thanks to both of you for joining us on our news.